Imagine stepping into a library that holds the nation's biggest secrets. For 30 years, these secrets were hidden away, but now the doors are open. The papers inside are not about old trade deals or foreign politics. They tell a story about the royal family that no one ever expected to hear. This is the moment when the story of the modern monarchy changes forever. Think about the biggest secret you have ever kept. Now imagine that secret being read out loud to the entire world. That is exactly what happened this morning at the National Archives. A group of historians sat down at a long wooden table, expecting to find old government papers. Instead, they found a story that would shock the nation. The documents showed that the woman who is now queen did not enter the royal family in the simple way everyone believed. There was a hidden operation running in the background, and the government was involved from the very start. The files proved that her connection to the royal family was not just a love story. It was also a state matter. Public has always been told that the queen is just a supportive partner to the king. We have seen her smile at charity events and walk beside him at official ceremonies. The press told us she was a quiet woman who loved her country home and her dogs, but the documents tell a different story. They show that her home was not just a quiet place in the countryside. It was a center for intelligence work. The police were listening to her phone calls. The treasury was paying her bills from a secret fund. All of this was happening while the public believed she was just a private citizen caught up in a royal romance. The truth is much more complex. The first shock came from the financial records. For many years, the story was that she lived on her own family money. Her father had a successful grocery business, and her first husband had a military pension. The press said she was content with a simple life. But the unsealed papers show that this story was not true. A large payment was made to her during her divorce. The money did not come from her family or from the royal family. It came from a government emergency fund. The government used millions of pounds of public money to make sure that her divorce went through without any trouble. The papers proved that this was not a standard payment. It was a state buyout. Why would the government pay for a private divorce? The answer was hidden in the letters between top officials. The Princess of Wales was planning a major media campaign. She was going to expose how the establishment had treated her. Her lawyers wanted to see all the financial records of the royal household. If that happened, the secret intelligence fund would be discovered. The government could not let that happen. They had to settle the divorce quickly and quietly. So they used state money to make sure all the paperwork was signed. The public was told that the split was just a normal separation between two people, but the files prove that it was an emergency operation to protect state secrets. This discovery led to another mystery. Why was the state so worried about a private relationship? The answer was found in the police logs. A special unit had been listening to phone calls at her country home. The police were not looking for criminals. They were using her telephone line as a listening post. They wanted to hear what was happening inside the palace. Princess Diana's staff were talking to people in her circle, and the police recorded every word. The files show that the queen was aware of this. She was called a strategic informant. The information she gathered was sent directly to the government's top intelligence committee. The system was using her personal connections to keep an eye on the future king's mother. Public has always believed that the queen was a private person who stayed out of politics. The documents show that she was deeply involved in the state security network. She was not just a passive figure in the drama. She was an active participant. She used her position to gather information. The information was used to launch media campaigns against her rival. The press portrayed the Princess of Wales as unstable and difficult. Now the files show that the palace had a hand in creating that image. The public relations victories of the past were built on a foundation of police wiretaps. The institutional machine worked hard to hide this truth for decades. The next layer of the story involves the church. When the king and queen decided to marry, the public was told that the church was fully supportive. The newspapers said that the Church of England was adapting to modern times, but the hidden papers reveal a very different situation. There was a secret meeting in the basement of the church's main office. The church leaders told the queen that there was a problem. She had asked for something that had never been granted to a royal spouse before. She wanted to be made a co-head of the church. This would give her spiritual authority that no other queen consort had ever held. The church leaders were shocked by this request. They believed it was a violation of the rules of succession. The archbishop said he would resign rather than agree to this, but the queen did not back down easily. She had a plan. Her lawyers knew that if the church gave her this power, it would become a permanent right. The future king would not be able to remove her from her position. It was not about religion. It was about survival. The church leaders were forced to make a secret deal. The queen would drop her request for spiritual authority, but in return, the government and the church would guarantee her a permanent income for life. If the future king ever tried to evict her from royal properties, the church would pay her a large sum of money. This hidden agreement shows just how strategic the queen has been throughout her time in the royal family. She was not just a woman in love with a prince. She was using every tool at her disposal to secure her own future. She understood that her position could be at risk when the king was no longer on the throne. She made sure to protect herself against that possibility. The government officials who signed the agreement in 2005 believed it would never come to light. But now it is in the public record. The people can see exactly what was promised behind closed doors. The current king is now facing a major crisis. His son and heir is refusing to support the queen in this moment. The Prince of Wales has known about these documents for months. He used that advanced knowledge to prepare his own defense. He instructed his team to stay completely away from this situation. He will not help his stepmother manage the fallout from these revelations. This is a huge break from the usual tradition of royal unity. In the past, the family always presented a united front. But the prince is making it clear that he will not defend the operations that targeted his mother. The silence from his office is very loud. The Queen's team tried to fight back. They wanted to issue a personal video message to the public. They wanted to frame the documents as ancient history that should not affect the present. They believed the public would give her a chance to explain. But their plan fell apart when the Prince of Wales's office issued its own statement. He made it clear that he had no comment on the intelligence files. This was a clear signal to the world that he was distancing himself from the situation. He was leaving her to face the storm alone. The solidarity that the family always showed during crises is completely gone. The public reaction has been one of shock and anger. People are not used to seeing their royal family exposed in this way. The image of the queen as a quiet and unassuming figure has been replaced by something much more calculating. The papers prove that her entry into the royal family was not a fairy tale. It was a complex operation involving state money, police wiretaps, and secret church deals. The nation is asking why the government went to such lengths to protect her. Why did they spend millions of pounds to bury the truth? Why did the police use her telephone to spy on the future king's mother? The answers are not comforting. The legal implications are massive. The individuals who were targeted by the surveillance have estates that could file lawsuits. The non-disclosure agreements signed in the 1990s do not cover illegal state operations. The government is facing a reckoning. The police commissioner has called an emergency meeting. The Treasury is being asked for a full audit of the secret payments. The church is being questioned about the private covenant. All of these institutions are now on the defensive. They spent decades helping to build the public image of the queen. Now that image is crumbling, and they are left to answer for their actions. The story of the modern monarchy is being rewritten in real time. The official narrative that the public has consumed for 30 years is being torn apart. The royal family survived previous scandals by controlling the media and using the power of the state. But they cannot control the internet. The files have been downloaded by millions of people around the world. They have been mirrored on international servers that are beyond the reach of British privacy laws. The secrets are out, and they cannot be put back in the box. As the day draws to a close, the silence from the palace is absolute. The press office is not answering calls. The Queen has not issued a statement. The family is in a state of emergency. But the public has already made up its mind. The illusion of the flawless consort is over. The truth has arrived. The British monarchy is facing one of the biggest crises in its modern history. The legacy of the Queen has been permanently damaged, and the battle over her secrets is just beginning. The historical record is now clear. The state used its power to protect a specific individual. It financed her personal life. It used her to spy on her rivals. It made secret deals to guarantee her future position. The public has a right to know how these things happen. The unsealing of the National Archives has given them that right. The papers show that the path to the throne was not paved with simple love and devotion. It was paved with classified documents and hidden agreements. The consequences of this revelation will be felt for a long time. The monarchy is an institution built on tradition and mystery, but the public no longer trusts the mystery. They want to see the truth. The documents have opened a door that cannot be closed. The future of the royal family will be shaped by this moment. The people are asking difficult questions, and they expect honest answers. The cover-ups and the non-disclosure agreements are not enough anymore. The Queen has been exposed as a central figure in this story. She was not a passive bystander. She was a key participant in a complex web of state and political leverage. She knew what was happening around her. She used the system to advance her own position. The public has to reconcile this image with the one they have seen on television for years. The gap between the public persona and the private reality is now impossible to ignore. The Prince of Wales is also facing a turning point. He has chosen to distance himself from the Queen. He is aligning himself with transparency and the truth. This is a smart political move, but it also reveals the deep fractures within the family. The relationship between the future king and the Queen is now publicly strained. The traditional rules of loyalty are being broken. The family is not as united as they pretend to be. The church is also damaged by these revelations. The secret deals made in the basement of its headquarters have eroded public trust. The institution was supposed to be a moral guide. Instead, it was used as a tool to secure a political position. The Archbishop's private letters show that he was uncomfortable with the arrangement, but he still went along with it. He signed a secret covenant that was hidden from the public eye. The church's reputation has suffered a serious blow. The government's involvement is perhaps the most troubling part of this story. They spent millions of pounds to protect a single individual. They authorized police wiretaps against a private citizen. They drafted secret agreements to guarantee her financial future. All of this was done without the public's knowledge. The people have a right to know how their tax money is being spent. The government is supposed to be accountable to the people. In this case, it was accountable to the royal family. The public has a right to know the truth. The documents from the National Archives are not just historical curiosities, they are a window into the way power works in this country. They show how institutions protect their own interests. They show how secrets can be kept for decades. The unsealing of these documents is a victory for transparency. It is a reminder that no one is above the truth. The modern monarchy is now at a crossroads. The institution can choose to continue hiding its secrets or it can embrace the truth. The public is demanding the latter. They are tired of the carefully managed narratives. They want to see the real story, even if it is messy. The papers have given them a taste of that reality. The story of the royal family is not just about pageantry and tradition. It is also about power, money, and influence. The battle over the Queen's legacy is not over. There will be more revelations. The legal challenges will take years to resolve. The royal family will have to find a way to move forward, but the impact of this day will not be forgotten. The public has seen behind the curtain, and they are not impressed. The illusion of the flawless consort is officially over, and a new era of public accountability has begun.